Tomorrow at 1:23 in the afternoon, Eastern Time, the moon completes a circuit she has not completed at this exact degree since May of 2007. 11 degrees and 20 minutes of Scorpio. The last time she made that exact return, what had been quietly rotting inside the global financial system began to surface in plain sight, 3 months ahead of the rest of the world recognizing it. This is why I had to record this today. I'm Luna Solano, 40 years of reading the stars, and 40 years of watching what Scorpio full moons actually do. Not what mainstream astrology pop tells you they do, but what they actually do. And I am recording this 24 hours before this lunation for one specific reason. There are 3 things you must release tonight, before the moon perfects her opposition to the sun tomorrow afternoon, or you carry them, fully formed, fully untouched, into the next 2 weeks of your life. And the next 2 weeks of your life are going to ask more of you than you think. If you have been waking up in the last several days with a low background hum of unease, the kind that does not have a name yet, the kind that is not quite anxiety and not quite sadness, but a quiet pressure behind the breastbone, like something inside you is asking a question you have been refusing to answer. You are not imagining it. The stars confirm what you have already been sensing. Scorpio full moons do not announce themselves the way eclipses do. They arrive sideways, through dreams, through a song on the radio that makes you cry for no reason, through a name you have not thought about in a decade showing up in your phone. They surface what was buried. And this one is going to ask you which loyalty you have been wearing for show and which one you have been wearing for truth. Let me tell you exactly what is happening in the sky. Tomorrow, Friday, May the 1st, at 5:23 in the afternoon, Universal Time, that is 1:23 Eastern, 10:23 Pacific, 6:23 in London, the moon arrives at 11 degrees and 20 minutes of Scorpio. The sun is in the exact mirror position, 11 degrees and 20 minutes of Taurus. This is what astrologers call a full moon, but the technical term is opposition. Sun and moon facing each other across the zodiac, exactly 180 degrees apart, and the Earth standing in the gap between them. You, your life, your nervous system, your kitchen table, your whole life, you are standing in that gap. In plain terms, that means the part of you that has been quietly building something in the daylight, in the Taurus territory of body, money, security, comfort, the slow gardener of your life. That part is being asked to face the part of you that lives in the dark soil, in the Scorpio territory, of what you actually feel about what you have built. What is real? What is rotting? What is alive underneath what you have been showing the world? And here is where the chart becomes specific, because the Sabian symbol for tomorrow's moon, the symbolic image that Marc Edmund Jones recorded in 1925 for this exact degree of Scorpio, is one of the most piercing in the entire zodiac. The Sabian symbol for the 12th degree of Scorpio is, and I want you to hear this slowly, an embassy ball. A brilliant assembly of dignitaries at an official embassy ball. Marc Edmund Jones gave it the keyword display. And in his interpretation, he wrote that this image is the social dramatization that enables each person to know whether his overall loyalties are bringing him the self-fulfillment to which he aspires. Read that sentence twice with me. The dramatization that enables you to know whether your loyalties are bringing you what you actually need. In 40 years of chart reading, I have never found a symbol that named this particular question more precisely. Because the embassy ball is not the moment you choose your allegiances. The embassy ball is the moment you find out which ones you have been wearing because they look right in the photograph, and which ones you have been wearing because they are actually yours. And the sun, at 11 degrees and 20 minutes of Taurus, sits across from this moon at the symbol of, quote, a young couple window shopping, looking through glass, wanting, imagining, not yet entering, not yet buying, not yet committing. That is the polarity. That is the entire chart of tomorrow. The window shopping life you have been imagining, and the embassy ball where you decide which loyalty you actually wear home tonight. If you are watching this, please subscribe before we go any further. The next 2 weeks, what comes after this full moon, matters as much as the full moon itself, and I am going to be releasing the integration video the day after this lunation peaks. You do not want to miss it. Now let me tell you what happened the last 2 times the sky looked like this. May of 2007. The moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio, exactly where she will be tomorrow. Pluto was in late Sagittarius, weeks away from beginning his transit toward Capricorn. And what was buried in the global financial system, the subprime mortgages, the leveraged products that would, 18 months later, collapse Lehman Brothers and the broader economy, began to surface to people who were paying attention. Bear Stearns hedge funds began to fail in June. A Scorpio full moon does not cause crisis. It surfaces what was already rotting. And in May 2007, what surfaced was the structural lie underneath the housing market. Now look at April 2018. Full moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio. Saturn, Mars, Mercury stellium in Capricorn. And the Me Too movement reached its peak public visibility. Month after month of women naming what had been hidden in plain sight for decades. Power structures, allegiances, professional loyalties that had been wearing the embassy ball costume for years. Scorpio surfaced them. In 1988, when Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune began their triple gathering in Capricorn, a Scorpio full moon at this same span of degrees opened the year of cracks in the Cold War. The INF Treaty had been signed the December before, and that May, Reagan and Gorbachev sat in Moscow, and the visible loyalties of 40 years of geopolitical performance began their dissolution. This is what Scorpio full moons at this degree do. They do not invent the truth. They make the truth impossible to keep performing past. And that, the impossibility of continuing the performance, is what you are facing tonight in your private life at a scale that is yours. So here is the part nobody talks about. There are three specific things, that this full moon is going to surface in you. 3 things that you can either release tonight, in the 24 hours between now and the lunation peaking tomorrow afternoon, or carry intact into the next 2 weeks. And I want you to know that I am not telling you the window closes forever if you do not act. The cosmos does not punish what you do not release tonight. The cosmos just keeps showing it to you in heavier and heavier form until you do. But tonight, this specific 24 hours is the lightest the cosmos will ever ask you to carry these. So if you can, you do it now. The first release is personal. It is identity. It is specifically the borrowed loyalty you have been wearing as if it were yours. Let me say what I mean. Most of us, by the time we reach our 50s and 60s, are wearing loyalties we did not choose. We are wearing them because 30 years ago a parent asked us to, or a partner expected us to, or a job demanded us to, or a community assumed we would. And we said yes. Because saying yes was easier than the conversation that would have followed if we had said no. And then time passed, and the loyalty calcified into identity, and we kept wearing it because by then we did not know who we were without it. If you have been carrying, and I want you to feel this, not think it, if you have been carrying a low background resentment toward a role you said yes to a long time ago, a title, a position in your family, a way you have been described for decades, that resentment is not pettiness. That is the embassy ball stripping the costume. That is your soul after 40 or 50 or 60 years, finally saying out loud that the dignitary it has been pretending to be is not who came to this life to do this work. The exhaustion you have been carrying, the specific weariness of maintaining something that has quietly stopped working, is real. It has a name. The name is identity drift. And the Scorpio full moon at this degree, with this Sabian, is unmasking it. What do you actually do with this? Tonight, before sleep, you write down on a small slip of paper 1 borrowed loyalty. 1. Just 1. Not a list, the clearest one. The one your body knew the second I named it. You write it. You do not have to know yet how to release it in your daily life. You just have to stop pretending it is yours. The release begins. The moment you write the truth that you have been afraid to put on paper, I'll be honest with you. When I first started doing this exercise 40 years ago, I had to read the symbol 3 times before I let myself write what I knew. So if it takes you a while, that is right. That is the threshold time, and the threshold time deserves to be honored, not rushed. That is the first release. The second one surprised even me. The second release is relational. It is, specifically, the window shopping life you have been imagining for 2 years or more and never walked into. Remember the sun, 11 degrees of Taurus, the young couple at the window, wanting, imagining, not yet entering. We all have one, a relationship we keep visiting in our minds and never contact. A move we have been planning out loud for 3 years and never priced out. A career pivot we mention at every dinner and never enroll in. A reconciliation we replay in conversation in our head and never initiate. A community, a friendship, a body of work, a creative project. There is a window in your life right now that you have been standing at for far too long. And the sun in Taurus has been asking you what you are actually doing there. The Scorpio full moon answers the question. It answers it with this. You have been visiting the window of a life that if you walked into the store, you would not actually buy. You have been window shopping a fantasy that costs you nothing to keep imagining and would cost you a great deal to actually claim. And the full moon is asking, gently, but absolutely, for you to either walk in or walk away. Both are honorable. The standing at the window forever is what is no longer available. I'll say that again because I know I usually do not say things this directly. Both walking in and walking away are honorable. The only thing that is no longer available is the standing at the window forever. Tonight, before sleep, you write on the second slip of paper the window you have been standing at the longest. You write it with specificity. Not, I want a different career. That is too vague to release. You write, I want the part-time pottery practice I keep mentioning. Or, I want to write to my cousin again. Or, I want to leave the relationship I have been mentally leaving for 4 years. Specific. The body must hear what the mind has been muttering. This is why I had to record this today, because the specificity is the medicine. Generality is the chrysalis people stay stuck inside. The third release is the one that is going to be hardest to hear, and I am not going to pretend it is not. The third release is the performance of being further along your awakening than you actually are. I want you to feel this slowly. In 40 years of chart reading, I have watched the spiritual community, the women I read for, the women who write to me, the women I sit with, develop a vocabulary for becoming, for releasing, for healing, for shadow work, for sovereignty. And the vocabulary is real. The work it points to is real. The transformations it has produced in your lives are real. And there is also a part of every person who has done this work for a decade or longer. The part that has learned to speak the language of release without releasing. The language of healing without healing. The language of done without being done. The embassy ball is the costume of allegiance, and the spiritual community has its own embassy ball, where we wear the I am doing the work face, where we use the right vocabulary, where we say the right thing to ourselves about our growth, and privately, alone, at 3 a.m, when no one is listening, we know how often we are just rehearsing. The Scorpio full moon is going to surface the difference in you between practiced wisdom and lived integration. And I want to say this clearly. You do not have to be done becoming to be enough. You only have to stop pretending you are done. That is the third release. On the third slip of paper before sleep tonight, you write the single thing you have been claiming to have released, that you have not actually released. The relationship you say you have forgiven and still feel a knot about. The grief you say you have moved through and still flinch from. The mother, the father, the version of yourself you say you have integrated and have not yet let yourself fully feel. You do not have to release it tonight, to be honest about it tonight. What the Sabian gives us, the embassy ball, is the recognition that we have been wearing what looks finished. The full moon does not require you to be finished. It only requires you to stop the costume. Now let me tell you which signs are going to feel this most. If you are a Taurus, or if Taurus is your rising sign, this full moon is happening across your chart of self and partnership, your first and seventh houses. The sun in your first, the moon in your seventh, which means the question of identity, who you have been wearing for show, is being mirrored in the question of whom you have been showing yourself for. Your action tonight is to write down the 3 things you have been window shopping mentally for 2 years or more, and mark which one you would actually walk into the store and own. Just one. Mark 1. If you are a Scorpio, or if Scorpio is your rising sign, this full moon is on your first house. Your body, your face, your embodied truth. You are the embassy ball. The dignitaries assembling are aspects of your own loyalties. Your action tonight needs to be physical, burning the slips of paper at their edges, immersing them in dark water, walking outside under the night sky. The body must register what the mind has decided. Without a physical gesture, Scorpio releases nothing. And if you are a Leo or an Aquarius, or have either of those rising, the fixed cross is being squared by this opposition, which means your whole pattern of where you choose to perform and where you choose to commit is under examination this week. Your action is to identify one community, one audience, one group that you have been showing up for out of obligation rather than alignment. You do not have to leave it tonight. You only have to name it tonight. Even if your sun sign is not listed, check your rising sign. That is the lens through which this energy enters your specific life. So I have shown you the sky, traced the history, named the 3 releases. The question I get most is, Luna, what do I actually do with this? Here is the ritual. Tonight, after dusk, between sunset and 11 at night, your local time, find a private place. 3 small slips of paper, 1 pen, a bowl, dark-colored if you have one, halfway full of water, 1 candle, white if you have one, any color if you do not, 1 match. On the first slip, write the borrowed loyalty you have been wearing for display. On the second slip, write the window you have been standing at for too long. On the third slip, write the thing you have been pretending to have already released. Light the candle. One by one, hold each slip to the flame just long enough to scorch its edge, not to burn it fully, just enough that the paper is marked. Then drop each scorched slip into the water. When all three are floating, speak aloud, out loud, your physical voice, even if you whisper, these exact words. I release what I have been wearing for display. I keep what I have been wearing for truth. The ball is over. I am going home. Then blow out the candle. Carry the bowl outside. Pour the water out into earth, a plant, the yard, the soil of any pot. The earth absorbs what the water carried, and go to sleep. In the next 48 hours after this full moon, and I want you to mark this, avoid signing contracts under pressure. Avoid replying to provocations from people you have already mentally released. Avoid making decisions from the borrowed identity rather than the chosen one. The 2 days after a Scorpio full moon are integration days. Scorpio is not interested in your speed. Scorpio is interested in your truth. After 40 years of watching people move through these cycles, here is what I have seen actually work, and what I have seen people get wrong. What works is specificity. The person who writes the actual name of the loyalty, not a vague feeling, releases. The person who writes, I let go of negativity, stays stuck. Scorpio does not respond to abstraction. Scorpio responds to the truth said by name. What people get wrong, and I have done this myself in the early decades, is treating the ritual as the release. The ritual is the doorway. The release is the next 2 weeks of small daily choices that align with what you wrote. You will know the ritual worked, not by how you feel tomorrow, but by what you find yourself unable to keep doing in the next 14 days. Let me answer the questions I hear most in the comments before I let you go. What if my rising sign is not a fixed sign at all? Then the full moon still activates the houses where Scorpio and Taurus fall in your chart, and the energy still shows up, just with less direct intensity. The releases still apply. They just may surface as themes rather than acute events. How long does this energy last? The full moon technical effect peaks within the 24 hours around tomorrow afternoon. The integration window runs through the next 2 weeks until the new moon in Gemini on May 15th, when the cycle resets. What if I miss the exact ritual time? The energy of the lunation is available for 48 hours on either side of the peak. If tonight is impossible, tomorrow night works. The cosmos is not punishing your scheduling. Can I do this even if I am skeptical? Yes. The ritual works through specificity, not belief. You write the truth. The truth does the work. You do not have to believe in astrology to recognize the loyalty you have been wearing for display. You only have to be willing to name it. And if you are a caregiver, a daughter caring for an aging mother, a wife caring for an unwell partner, a grandmother holding a family together, the borrowed loyalty release does not mean abandoning your care. It means examining which parts of the care are chosen and which parts you have been performing. You can love and release in the same breath. They are not opposites. We started this video tomorrow afternoon, a moon completing a circuit she has not made at this degree since 2007. The Sabian symbol of an embassy ball. The polarity with the young couple at the window. The three releases: borrowed loyalty, window shopping fantasy, performed healing. The ritual of 3 slips and dark water, and a single sentence spoken aloud. What I want you to take from this is not that you are running out of time. You are not. You are being given a particularly clean window to release what is already asking to be released. The cosmos is not threatening you. The cosmos is offering you a doorway that you can walk through tonight, or walk through next week in heavier form, or walk through 19 years from now in the form that the next Metonic return will require. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where the sky is meeting you. What is the clearest thing you can see tonight that you are ready to release before tomorrow afternoon? Tell me in the comments. 1 sentence. 1 line, the clearest thing. I read every word, and what you share guides what I explore in the integration video tomorrow. Until next time, keep looking up. This is Luna Solano. And one last thing after the signature, because this full moon deserves it. If in the weeks to come, you find that what you wrote on those 3 slips of paper keeps surfacing in your dreams, in your conversations, in songs you happen to hear, do not panic. That is not the ritual failing. That is Scorpio doing what Scorpio does. Scorpio brings the buried thing back to the surface, and back, until you make the small daily choice that finally releases it. The slips of paper are the beginning. The next 2 weeks are the work. And you are exactly the kind of person who does the work, or you would not still be watching.